Ladies, please come closer. Let's talk about Group B STREP.
Bienvenidos a nuestro canal. Yo soy Pablo. And we are Familia Pablanu.
Hello everybody, my name is Ano from Familia Pablanu, and today we will be discussing Group B STREP in pregnancy. Oh, hi birds, they're chirping. So you ladies, if you're currently pregnant or you've had babies, you might be familiar with Group B STREP because during third trimester they will say you should get tested for Group B STREP. Group B is it's called Group B Streptococcus. It's a virus that is normally found in the women's vaginal tract, but during pregnancy, sometimes the growth might be a little bit too much, that it could actually cause problem for the baby, or when the baby's been born through the vaginal canal. And other than that, they say it's okay, it doesn't cause problems. But so I had Group B STREP during my second pregnancy, during my third pregnancy as well. The first time that I had it, anyways, I was so scared. I was like, what is Group B STREP? What should I do? Is there anything, how do I, what can you do to fix it? And they say you have to take antibiotics injection during, or IV during birth, so that the baby coming out of the vaginal canal would not get the infection, because it can cause some sickness, and sometimes it can be life-threatening to the baby. But so I optioned to get the antibiotics. So I was there 4 hours before the baby was born, and they gave me antibiotics. But then for the third pregnancy, which was Tulio's birth, it was a home birth. So I'm like, the home midwife could not do antibiotics, could not administer that IV and stuff at home. I have to go to the hospital. I'm like, but I do not want to go to the hospital. So what do we do? So I was like, I look into it and say, sometimes you can put some things rich in good bacteria that can help with that can get rid of that bad bacteria that's growing, So I was like, okay, what do? I put some yogurt down there, but for the most part, I just didn't do much. So I said, I'm just gonna try my luck. I'm not gonna get antibiotics, and I'm not gonna do anything, medical like that. Anyways, baby was born, and today it was fine. There's nothing that was wrong with him. And then the fourth pregnancy, we already switched the foods that we eat. And okay, during my second and third pregnancy, I can see the difference compared to the fourth pregnancy. There's some kind of foul odor there towards when they would check for Group B STREP. Yeah, I can already smell the foul smell that comes from down there. Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, that's probably Group B STREP that I have there. But when it came to the fourth one, I was waiting for that to happen, but it didn't happen. So I did my own prenatal for the fourth pregnancy, but with the symptoms that I had previously, I could tell if I had Group B STREP or not. And through the symptom, I realized I did not have it with the fourth pregnancy. So anyways, I went into looking into what do you do about Group B? Because it seems like you just get it and you just have to deal with it. But it seems like there's something you can do. And every time I ask myself, like, is there something I can do to make this better? To make sure that, what can I do? So I look into it, I was researching, and I found out that it comes down to the food that we eat. I know, it's mind-blowing. It comes down to the food that we eat. So I look into, they used to think that the urethra was actually sterile, that there's no bacteria in there that lives there. But now they're realizing, they've done the research, and they're realizing that no, they actually are bacteria that actually naturally live in the urethra. And also the bladder. Bacteria actually do live in the bladder. So, but what happens for you to get things like UTI and group B strep, things that cause pains and the infections down there? So when it comes down to the food that we eat, if you eat food that allows the bad bacteria to grow, all those streptococcus and the salmonella and the bad bacteria to grow in your gut. If you have food that makes the bad bacteria to grow in your gut, it will through osmosis, because the bladder is not sterile and the urethra is not sterile either. Through osmosis, it will eventually reach your bladder. It will eventually overgrow and it will eventually cause you infections. But if you're eating food that actually grow good bacteria, lactobacillus and those good bacteria, if you eat food that actually grow those good bacteria, the good bacteria actually suppress the growth of the bad bacteria. So it suppresses them, and you're realizing that the bad bacteria is not growing because it's cultured by the good bacteria. So that is the cure right there. So eating good food that will actually make the good bacteria to grow, is what is going to get rid of or make sure that you prevent having group B strep in the first place. But what kind of food makes bad bacteria grow? Those are going to be your dairy and the meats and those food that are animal-based food. They will allow the bad bacteria to grow. I mean, how many times have you eaten what do you call those, either sandwiches or those meats and sushi or whatever, and then you're realizing, oh yeah, you have stomach bug from the food that you eat. Most of the time, almost always, it's the meat product and the animal food that you eat is making the bad bacteria to grow. So how do we switch this around? What food allows good bacteria to grow? Those are going to be the foods that are grown from the ground up. Those are your plant-based food. So if you eat the plant-based food, those are going to be your legumes and your greens and vegetables and fruits, lots of varieties, and those nuts too. So if you eat those, and for having, if you are trying to grow it really quickly, those good bacteria, you can have some kombucha at your food store, the grocery store. They should sell some. The one that doesn't have sugar, added sugar to it. You can get some kombucha. It's fermented leaves and tea that are being fermented. It actually has about 1,000 good bacteria in them, so that will proliferate the growth of those good bacteria inside your gut. So basically, when it comes down to group B strep, it all comes down to the food that we eat. So if you eat the food that allows good bacteria to grow, the good bacteria is going to take over your entire, not just your gut, but your bladder as well as your urethra. So the good bacteria protects the vaginal opening as well as the bladder and your gut and all that places by growing in a way that suppresses the bad bacteria to grow. So it grows and it cultures that place. It kind of colonizes it, and the bad bacteria does not have the room to grow there because it populates that place, But if you are eating food that do not allow those good bacteria to grow, who takes over? The bad bacteria takes over, and they colonize, they populate those areas, and they do havoc, and they cause you infection, and they cause you that UTI because they travel urethra into your bladder, and they proliferate and cause those pains and that infection down there. It even goes to your kidneys, and you get kidney infection too from that. So that's what I've learned from the fourth pregnancy, and I realized with the food that we eat, I didn't have group B strep this time, and it was mind-blowing. And also another tip is to give ladies out there is that right now, because we've switched food, there's actually no need for me to use soap to wash down there the opening. You never ever need to wash with the soap. So soap, you know, it's got chemical that kill bacteria. And okay, your vaginal opening's got naturally got good bacteria that you know that takes over that place, because if you're killing that good bacteria with the soap, the bad bacteria will grow and it will populate that area. You will have sometimes you will have overgrowth of yeast, because once you give room, you kill the good bacteria. Yeast will think, oh my gosh, it's time for me to now overpopulate. I'm going to grow in a large amount and overpopulate and give you that yeast infection, give you that bacteria vaginosis. Those are the bad bacteria that you don't want. They want to suppress their growth to a little bit of a population. Anyways, so you never ever need to wash down there with soap. If you need to rinse, you rinse with some warm water and damp cloth, and that's it. You never need to wash with soap, ever, ever, ever. So first, if you fix the food that you're eating, you wouldn't have any foul odor down there in the first place if you fix the food you're eating, and then you wouldn't need to be even trying to think like you need to use soap to take away some odor, you know, because that kind of odor is not natural. It's not supposed to be there. It's because of the bad bacteria that's growing there. Anyways, so the food, it all comes down to the food that we eat. And I'm realizing that because of the fourth pregnancy, and for the first time I haven't stopped using soap. Anyways, and I realized, wow, okay, this is normal. It's supposed to be nice down there. It's not supposed to be any odor and all that stuff. Anyways, so the food that we eat affects not just our gut, it affects everything. Anyways, so I hope this actually helps, because I had a lot of questions when I was pregnant, and I had group B strep, and I had it again the second time, but there wasn't any real answer. They just say, oh yeah, just put some yogurt down there. Anyways, but yeah, it all comes down to the food that we eat, and if you change your lifestyle, if you change the food that you eat, and you realize that a lot of problem all of a sudden goes away. It's cured, it's healed, and it disappears. Anyways, so I hope this video helps a lot of women out there. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll come again with other videos, but we're on social media. We have a day-to-day post on Instagram as well as Facebook. Familia Pablanu is the name. Please join us next time, but until next time, bye, adios, bravo.